Good evening, this is John Burke. Tonight I want to talk about the recent conflict between the European Union and Hungary. First, what was the conflict about? The European Union wanted to send a 50 billion aid package to Ukraine. Hungary opposed. Why did it oppose? Because it's against prolonging the military conflict between Ukraine and Russia. Rather, Hungary supports a peaceful resolution of the conflict. What was the EU response? The EU response was to threaten Hungary with an Article 7 sanction. What is Article 7? Article 7 is found in the Treaty on the European Union, and I'm going to read from it. It states, if there is a clear risk of a serious breach by a member state of the values referred to in Article 2, the EU can take action. One action is to remove the member states' voting rights in the Council. This is extremely serious. So, let's ask ourselves the question. A serious breach of the values referred to in Article 2. So we have to look at Article 2 to find out what values they're talking about. Again, I have to read from the language of Article 2 so you get a sense of what I'm talking about. So Article 2 says, the Union is founded on respect for human dignity, freedom, democracy, equality, rule of law, tolerance, justice, and so on. These are vacuous terms. What do I mean by the term vacuous? I mean, they lack content. They are large words, but we need to interpret them to give them content. But let's take them on our face. How can Hungary's opposition to a 50 billion, even though it is a public aid package, violate the values set forth in Article 2? The public aid package is only going to prolong the war. The war is going to result in deaths of civilians and soldiers. The war will also result in a continuation of the destruction of property. So you try to put the two together, and one cannot determine how Hungary's opposition to a 50 billion public aid package that will only prolong the war can violate human dignity, freedom, democracy, equality, the rule of law, tolerance, and justice. It seems virtually impossible. Let's look at it from another perspective. Has the EU, by threatening an Article 7 action, has it violated the values in Article 2? One can argue yes. What was Hungary doing? Hungary was expressing a cogent view. It was expressing a preference for a peaceful settlement of a conflict rather than financial aid that only will prolong this conflict. Hungary arguably was denied its right to express a view, which is implicit in the term democracy, democratic debate, exchange of views, and it certainly affects the term tolerance. In other words, the European Union has no tolerance for any view it disagrees with. But what kind of democracy is this? It's not a democracy. It's an authoritarian state. Now, the conflict was averted. Hungary finally agreed to drop its opposition to the release of the aid package, but it illustrates the nature of the European Union. It's a rather insidious organization, and it is not democratic. If you like the lecture, subscribe to the channel and give it a like. Thank you and good night.